Hey there everybody! Seth here, in voice format for the first time! Well, at least in these videos. By more than popular vote for some reason. Well, let's hope you don't loathe this choice in long run, because remember, you technically asked for this. Text did have its fair share of issues though, trying to balance between readability, the length of the video, and trying to shove as much information possible in quickly as a result. Anyways though, it's time for the next Monark boss showcase video. I have been replaying through the game very tediously to get all the max stat lines and movesets I need, since as a reminder, I'm showing all the bosses in their strongest possible states in-game, which means I had to replay Act 1 twice just to get the strongest versions of the 3 pack bearers, and I still have Act 2 stats to get, though. That'll be way less awful to do. Hopefully you enjoyed the last video on Kurama and Superbia, and I hope you'll enjoy this one too! This time we will be focusing on the Envy duo, Hayate Tsumabuki and his Monark Invidia. Unfortunately for me, these two have one of my least favorite boss themes in the entire game, only beaten out by another song that we shall not speak of. But in case you're a fan of Condolences to This Dream, worry not, because it will be present here in the video. And hopefully not get this video taken down. Please don't copyright strike me. As I have stated previously, this will be a look at the two of them at their strongest stat lines, not including any rematches of the Monarchs to be fair toward the pack bearers, so that means no Sin Invidia in the post-game. Unlike before, I do have the boss passives actually functioning in this video, though. There'll still be some buggy animations here and there, and I wish I could have Awakening work normally for the enemy pack bearers. The game simply will not allow it under any circumstances. All that said, end of Act 1 Envy bosses! Here we go! Hopefully this won't be a pain to sync to the footage I have.
Let's go, Kokoro.
Tsumabuki's design is just, wow. We all agree on that, right? That was my first reaction to seeing him like this in this form. Would this technically be as a magic gear? Because if so, God, what a form to be stuck with in that regard. The fact he floats is certainly a little bit imposing, but not as much as everything else going on here. They really went full Eldritch Abomination on him with the tentacles and literal necklace of distorted heads. I like the halo and the weird Illuminati head, though. If you actually look, pretty much the entirety of this distortion originates in his head, as the rest of his body is perfectly normal. I actually figured out that if I walk into a wall like this, you can get a much closer look at the characters, which is going to be the new standard for these videos. Unrelated, but I can't quite get a feel on what I think Tsumabuki's quote-unquote meme voice line would be, his equivalent to Kurama's I alone am right. Much as I adore the English dub, I have to say that Tsumabuki is probably one of the few characters that's actually better in Japanese. His normally unhearable madness voice line is pretty good, though. And on the other side is, Invidia. It still baffles me how this dude ended up with this Monarch. Her design is fucking sick, and it's hard to say if I love hers or Superbia's more. The scythe in and of itself is incredibly badass, and equally effective as you'll see in a bit. She's honestly so much of an opposite to Tsumabuki, it's comical. Her voice is fucking perfection too, honestly. Tsumabuki is rightfully super bitter about everything, but Invidia is just overjoyed to be here. Her enthusiasm is super adorable, and I love every single voice line she has. Envy is a pretty crappy authority in my opinion, but she'd almost be worth being stuck with compared to the other ones. Though, I guess the ability to just toss any injury you get from an attacker possibly right back at them could be considered very useful. Okay, the eye candy is great and all, but let's get into the more interesting stuff you're all here for, probably. The stats and the movesets. Probably more so the second one. Starting with Tsumabuki, he's a pretty well-rounded attacker with similar attack and psi stats, while sporting defense at his highest, so he can soak up physical attacks pretty alright. Agility and luck are sort of just meh, but unfortunately his poor bastard got stuck with a crappy 4-ass moveset. In fact, every Act 1 pack bearer, with one exception, is stuck with a 4 moveset. Mobility is kind of important in this game, and unlike your Lust and Sloth fiends that are also stuck with a 4 moveset, he does not make up for it very well. Because this motherfucker's moveset is downright abysmal! Look at this shit! It's just questionable, lowly leveled ailments spamming in the standard boss skills, pretty much. I mean, unless he has Headshot, but of course the actor's on his ass. So unlike Kurama, he has an attacking skill that happens to actually make use of the boss's costless arts passive, but it's only level 2 at the very end of Act 1?! Possibly deadass the worst moveset in the entire game. Like, Kurama's moveset is better than this man's. If you had a theoretical equal level Kurama and Tsumabuki in front of me, I'd take Kurama easily. It's actually kind of cruel. Once again, though, on the other side of things, the real danger here is most certainly Invidia. Her stat line is leagues better and more offensive-based, which is obviously quite fitting. Being a close-range attacker, she is far more mobile, and despite having a lower defense than Tsumabuki, her higher health pool offsets this a bit. Continuing her trend of being every antithesis possible to her pack bearer, her moveset is pretty fucking good. The Envy Fiend on your team is already pretty disgusting in some cases, so applying a lot of the best parts of it onto a boss is certainly going to be effective. Like Tsumabuki, she has ailment skills. Unlike Tsumabuki, they're actual good ones. She also possesses decently high-level versions of Sanctioned Bleed and Poison skills to really take advantage of any unfortunate soul who gets hit by a status effect. Whirlwind Slash for an okay area attack. She's also packing Transfer Pain, which while you can play around with this once you know how it works, the AI is much less intelligent in that regard. Essentially giving invincibility to a single attack that'll redirect right back at the idiot who tried it. And on top of all of that, her disgusting signature move, which we'll get into in a bit, even though you can already kind of see what it does here. Clearly, this is one of those few moments where the Monark is in fact a much bigger threat than the pack bearer. Invidia blows this motherfucker out of the water. Tsumabuki being a pack bearer, though, does of course have Awakening on his side. The only way to make this work still, sadly, is through some external methods, but I've decided to make it a trend to show off the activation line in these videos here. For that, I'm of course just going to force it rather than actually legitimately stack up full resolves.
I shall correct this injustice.
Awakening, while potent, is not really potent enough to salvage Tsumabuki's garbage-ass moveset. You can bet your ass if I ever get around to making true Tsumabuki, there's going to be a lot of changes. It's possibly even pretty unanimous to say that Tsumabuki here is the worst boss in the entire game. Even worse than Karama.
Suffer! Why must I suffer for this? Feel the pain.
Flesh, life, envy.
What's wrong?
Fall to pieces.
Here I go. I leave it to you. Why must I suffer for this? I can't afford to die just yet.
I'm not done.
I'll push these old foes.
Awakening is most of the time the only unique actions the pack bearer bosses really have, but we still have one other signature move to show off before the end here, and that would be Invidia's very fittingly named Scythe of Absurdity. Frankly, absurdity may even be an understatement, as this attack is absolutely one of the dumbest skills in the entire game, as well as having one of the coolest animations. This fucking atrocity has a chance to trigger either bleed, poison, or outright instant fucking death. And it hits 3 times! 3! Not to mention the range is gigantic! Look at this shit! This is the largest sweeping attack in the game, which means it can hit multiple targets! All of this for 0 cost! The only potential downsides this move has is the fact that it can't be followed up by assists and the 70 power that's almost absolutely offset by everything else I've mentioned, making it a non-fetch. Invidia is a terrifying presence for this move alone. Coupled with all the other crap she's got, she's a decent contender for one of the most threatening enemies in the game. If she's not blitzed out of existence in one turn anyways. Now, if only she wasn't stuck with a boss theme like Condolences for this dream. Tsumabuki, on the other hand, hot garbage, and I genuinely have nothing else to say or do, but feel even more sorry for him. Especially after having to replay his segment multiple times to get the stat lines I needed. This man got screwed over way too bad. In any case, that'll be all for the Envy video. I hope this turned out good, I guess. I can easily go back to text if this is less than preferable. I would have had this out much sooner, but it took a while to write out the script and find opportunity to record my voice afterwards. The next one should be much less difficult now, like a template to go off of, though. Feel free to let me know if there's anything else you want to see in these videos here, or any ways to refine the format at this point in general. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I will hopefully see you all in the next Monark video, in which we will be covering... Oh god, no! We're using different music for that one!